Hi, everyone. I'm 12 News Meteorologist T.J. Santo. Hope you're doing okay. Welcome to our next edition of Beyond the Forecast. We're talking about April showers today, and we brought in a special guest to talk about April showers because there's nothing better than golfing in the rain and fishing in the rain. Here's Patrick Little.
This is great, TJ. Thanks for having me on. I'm always, stirring the pot a little bit on the news every morning about the weather. I speak on behalf of all of the viewers complaining about the rain and the weekends that get washed out and interrupting all of the activities involving my activities like you said, fishing, golfing, my kids' sports and all that. So spring's tough. Spring is tough.
It can be. April especially. Yeah. This is typically the wettest time of year. Probably no surprise there. March is actually the wettest month where we get more than 4 inches of rain, almost 5 inches of rain on average in the month of March. April, it's close to it, and we've had a lot of April showers. You asked about it this morning.
I did. Put you on the spot.
We had 16 days with at least a trace of rain in the month of April. So what's that? More than half the month.
Yeah. So the thing that I think frustrates everybody is you get through. I think you can get through the holidays and you're like, all right, here comes winter. You know what's coming with January and February. And then March, you get teased. What did you call it? Fake fall spring. Fall spring. You get a few of those days mixed in, and then all of a sudden you start getting cold, rainy, and windy days. It's so windy in the spring around here. It doesn't let up sometimes. So and that wind, I live down on Aquidneck Island, so the water temperature's in the mid to low 40s, and it's whipping off the water, so it just feels even worse. So yeah, it's just so frustrating. Spring. It just seems to just drag on and on and on. Not the kind of spring we want. A warmer time.
We'll talk about wind because we did get a great question about wind, but let's talk about rain. This is kind of like a transition season where we're going from different kinds of storms transitioning over into other storms. They're called April showers for a reason because we tend to get the shower here, shower there, that kind of a thing. But in the month of October right through March, we typically get those large storms that like nor'easters that tend to bring in lots of rain, widespread rain and snow. However, in the month of April and typically right through September, they tend to be more showery with maybe even some thunderstorms, what we call convective storms. And occasionally some of our rain during that time, especially in the summer and into September, we get some tropical systems as well. But this is the showery kind of season, and they can almost pop up at any given time. But not what we want to see for sure. So yeah, typically this is the rainiest time of year, that March and April. But notice in the summer, though, we tend to get less in the way of rain. Wouldn't know that a couple summers ago, remember?
Yes. It rained every weekend.
It rained pretty much every weekend, and we're starting to follow that pattern a little bit. That's hopefully we can just get rid of that pretty quickly. All right, so let's take a look at the average, the rain for the month of March. 4.42, which was actually just a little bit below average. And for the month of April, we got 2.87 inches, which seems kind of low, doesn't it?
It does. And I said to you this morning on the news, I go, it feels like it rains every day. And you said, well, it's actually below the average. But I was thinking, but it seems like we just get a little bit, it's like a chance of showers every single day. So although it's not like large amounts, it's just the frequency of it, which just gets so...
It's just annoying,
rain. Yeah, it's just so frustrating because, like I mentioned, it's mostly involves, for selfish reasons, all the things we like to do outside that we can't do outside during the winter. And then, it's, no, we can't do it today. And it's still too wet. And you can't do it tomorrow. And then the weekend comes, and it seems like we're stuck in this every Saturday pattern of rain, lately anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the patterns that we're looking at. Let's talk about drought. Now, I think there was a question about the drought, right?
It was from me again on the air. I know I asked something to you the other day where I said...
You had asked about the drought, and Jillian from Warren also asked, did all this rain make up for the drought we had in the fall? You may remember in the fall, we had a number of wildfires breaking out. It was just so dry. In fact, we actually had a severe drought for parts of northern Rhode Island, moderate drought for many other areas, a severe drought, an extreme drought. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But over the last several months, we've gotten some rain, and you can see how we've slowly gotten better as in January when, drought doesn't nearly as much, I guess. We started to kind of shake that drought in February, still in a moderate drought in parts of Rhode Island. Right now, into April, we're considered abnormally dry, believe it or not. We're still considered abnormally dry despite all the rain that we've had. We're a little bit below normal, as I mentioned, for the month of April. So,
well, the thing that, I remember in the fall, and you can correct me, because there wasn't a stretch of like 30-something straight days where we had no precipitation at all. I remember that very well. And we had the exact location, some wildfires, they were popping up everywhere, just hoping for rain, but there was even wind then. And then obviously it snapped once we got back into the winter time, and we got a little more precipitation with the snow. But it was a long stretch of
I remember
weather.
in the beginning of that stretch, we were all oohing and ahhing over the 7-day. It was just sunny and 70s like every single day. And then after a couple of weeks, we started, this might be a problem, because it got really dry. And wildfires started popping up, and not what we really wanted to see. All right, let's take a look at the weather patterns that we got going on. The precipitation outlook. We are expecting the month of May to actually be a little bit above normal, so that might take care of some of the drought as well as we go. That's not what you want to hear. We should have taken care of that in the past couple of months, right?
How about on Mondays and Tuesdays and not on Saturdays and Sundays?
We'll try for that, but we are expecting above average rainfall for the month of May. I mean, there's just a good chance of that. How about May, June, and July? That's also expected to be above average. So we're probably going to get rid of that drought, but not what you want to see as we starting to get into these warmer months. We would just like it to be maybe a little bit below average.
Yeah, the thing, too, about the summer is it's such a short season in our area, Rhode Island, Southeastern Mass, New England in general. You break it down, and it's basically like 12 weekends. If you really think about, June, Memorial Day until Labor Day, you only get 12 weekends. And if you lose half of one weekend, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. I know you don't know either, but if you do, and we had that happen a couple years ago, you showed that graphic, it's so demoralizing and so frustrating, because you look forward around here. I know there's winter lovers, snow lovers, winter activity lovers, but I bet there's more people that enjoy the warmer weather than the colder weather. I'm just going out on a limb.
I would imagine. And it's not just enjoying it, but, businesses rely on it, especially down there, the beaches, the restaurants and other businesses. They need the nice weather, especially on the weekends.
The other day I drove by it was last Saturday, I drove by a golf course with my 14-year-old son. We were going to a hockey rink because lacrosse was canceled, so we just figured we'd go skate. But I drove by, it was Swansea Country Club to be exact. And, you think about the parking lot on a Saturday completely empty, and you're thinking about the tens of thousands of dollars that one specific business, that one industry loses if there's a washout on one of the weekend days.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I drive by there all the time, and I have noticed there haven't been too many cars there as a result of all the rain that we've been having, or the frequent chances of rain, right. I should say. Let's take a look, of course, out in the west. That's expected to be below average. They're expecting dry weather there for May, June, and into the summer months. Something interesting here. So I looked back at the climate data, going back all the way to 1905, and we're actually seeing more rainfall now than we were back in the early 1900s. And that's really to do with climate change. Temperatures are warming. Warmer temperatures can hold more moisture, and the end result is obviously more rain. So we're actually seeing more rain than we were 120 years ago. So
great. That's not what I wanted to hear. That's not the direction.
Should have been golfing back in 1905.
I would have been so good at golf in the early 1900s without all this rain.
Caught more fish.
I don't mind fishing in the rain as long as it's warm, because the fish are wet, the water's wet. That's fine. Golf's a little harder. You got to keep your grips dry, and you're driving in the golf cart, you get smashed by the rain, whatever. But and I feel like I pound this drum all the time on the news, and I hate to do it, but the weather just is so determining about people's moods. And it's so funny, we come in on a Monday morning, and the first time you put the 7-day forecast up on a Monday morning, I think it's at like 4:45 in the morning. It literally could set the tone for the entire week for all of us.
Absolutely.
In the studio and everybody watching at home, because you can see the weekend ahead, and if it's got a chance of rain, you're like,
and especially if it's like Saturday and Sunday. It's just like, all right, I'm just turning the TV.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, don't turn it off.
Yeah, please don't turn it off.
Yeah, it always changes. It's New England. The weather can change.
And actually, it does change frequently, especially days 5 and 6. They can change pretty quickly. Weather patterns work that way sometimes. Just a little tweak in the way things work, and we could be looking at big changes. All right, we had a question about the wind, I think, Jillian, right? I think.
Has it gotten windier?
Has it gotten windier?
Brian from Fall River, I wonder the same thing.
We get this question a lot, like every single spring. Has it gotten windier? I feel like the wind has gotten more frequent over the past 10 years or so. He said, don't remember so much wind. All right, so here's the average wind on broken down by month. And no surprise, this is the windiest time of year. The kids in school, this is the time of year they make their little kites because this is the windy time of year. The windiest month is March, no surprise. And even April can be pretty windy. We average 11.1 miles an hour. So have we gotten windier? Well, for this month of March, believe it or not, it's been a little bit below average. The average is 11.3 miles an hour. This past March, 9.3 miles an hour. In the month of April, we're a little bit below average there as well, 9 miles an hour or so. Interesting little stat here. Wind advisories that are issued by the National Weather Service. I'm going to kind of walk you through this. Far right-hand side, that's this past year, 2025. And you can see all the other years, there's quite a few wind advisories issued. Now, wind advisories, it's a little subjective. It's human beings saying, okay, I think that this is going to happen, so we should issue wind advisories. But you can see that we're a little bit lower than many other years this past year. So we've had some wind. We've had some strong wind gusts. We've had gusts 40, 50, even 60 miles an hour so far this spring. But in general, this hasn't been a windy spring. It's just the windy time of year.
So I actually was golfing with a couple of meteorologist friends the other day, and they explained to me, as they only can, and I'm like, I don't understand it, but something about the cold air aloft and the warm air down low, and it creates this turbulence, and that means the wind gusts, but it's also the fronts colliding and the warm air and the cold air.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch going on. It's like a big soup in the atmosphere.
Right. But is it this time of year because we are transitioning from the colder, generally colder time of year to a warmer time of year that the atmosphere is just angry?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on?
Basically, what's going on is the jet stream is actually starting to head north, and it kind of moves right over New England, and we tend to get these really strong winds this time of year. No surprise that this is the windiest time of year. But yeah, you're right, though, especially when it starts to get warm, the atmosphere starts to mix up, and we start to get some of those winds that come down to the surface. We see that a lot, actually.
He called it mixing, I think, the other day. That's what the term he used. It's mixing.
Like a big mixing bowl.
That's what he said. It was like the blender when you're like making pudding and you put the three things in and it just spins it all around, and that's and is that what causes thunderstorms eventually with the different? Well, that's a summer topic.
Yeah,
never mind.
We can get those the strong what we call updrafts, the rising air into the atmosphere. They can help to create the thunderstorms.
All right.
We haven't really seen too many of those this year.
No, we haven't. I hope we don't.
A couple here and there. All right. I think we have another question about sunrises, sunsets.
Now, this is a good one.
This one, I don't know. It's always taught by seafaring relatives, red in the morning, sailors take warning. So why is that everyone goes gaga over pretty red sunrise photos? Can you please just shed some light on this possible myth and quick observation? That's a really good question from Brian from Middletown. Patrick, I love sunrises.
We all do, and this is one of the bonuses of getting up before the sun comes up every day. We're always anticipating these. It's almost like before the sunrise is even better than the sunrise itself.
Absolutely. Typically, when you have clouds moving in around sunrise or even at sunset, in the direction of wherever the sun is, those are the most vibrant. And you want mid and high level clouds. I say this on air all the time. Mid and high level clouds make the best sunrises and sunsets. This is one, actually, those are low clouds there. Is a shot from, this is actually one of the top 12 from 2024, Patrick.
Okay, this made the list.
I don't know.
It's a very tough list to get on.
Yes, it is. I don't know what number this was, but you can see that we had really vibrant sun there. You can actually make out the disk of the sun behind the Kent Heights water tower there. Here's another one.
Wow.
I mean, this one's gorgeous from our East Greenwich camera. Amazing sunrise on that day. And one more, vibrant colors, also from East Greenwich. It was pink that morning and just gorgeous. I mean, I love when I worked the nighttime shift, I was all about sunsets.
Yes,
I
of
mean,
course, yeah.
because I was there, I could see them.
We don't see those much anymore because we're in bed
I
sometimes.
can't remember last time I
before the sun
actually
goes down.
enjoyed a sunset.
You know, right?
But yeah, I watch a lot of the sunrises. In fact, I'll go out on the weekend sometimes and take
see the
pictures.
pictures, yeah. So is it true, like, if the color of the sky, like, you know, like Brian had asked about, because my grandmother used to tell me that, you know, red sky at night, sailors take, which one is it?
Red sky in the morning,
sailors
take
warning.
warning. Red sky at
Night,
night,
take flight.
sailors.
You'll be all right.
So let's talk about that. So what's going on is you've got the sunlight coming through the atmosphere, and the more atmosphere that light goes through, the light gets scattered. You know, like a prism works.
Right. Yeah.
You see all the different colors. The red actually is what gets to our eyes. All the other colors are scattered about in the atmosphere, so we see a lot of that red in the atmosphere. So that's how this works. Let's talk about you know, that folklore of a red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. We actually have a graphic for it, and it's interesting. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. Now, if you've got clouds approaching from the west and they're turning red, chances are, you know, you sailors, you need to take warning because you've got probably a storm approaching. On the other hand, if at sunset the storms are moving to the east and they're turning red, the clouds are turning red, they're moving away. So chances are you should be okay the next day. So there's some truth to that. I mean, it's not always guaranteed. I mean, there are some mornings we have these gorgeous sunrises and you know, it ends up being just fine all day long. But it's just dependent upon where the clouds are. But there's some truth to that. I wouldn't, you know, bank on it every single time.
No, it's totally scientific, but Grandma Shea was right when she told me that when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So, you know, it's just one of those things that sticks with you. And if you're just looking up and you think, oh, okay, well, that's the case, then it's probably going to come true that it might be a little bit stormy in the morning, depending on the sky, the color at night, or, you know, vice versa. So it's pretty fascinating.
It is. And it's just something that I love in the atmosphere, just to see all those different colors. And sometimes the atmosphere will throw curveballs at you and throw different colors, like deep purples in there. And I just love that the sunrise is different every single morning that we show it. And I get really but you talked about it the other day, you and Kate. You know, there's rainy TJ, and then there's sunny TJ. You know, there's a big difference in my mood in the morning as well. I'm bouncing all around the studio when the sun's coming up and it's a nice sunrise. When it's cloudy and rainy, yeah, I know.
I mean, and it's
the same with everybody.
It's a different topic for another time, but like for a meteorologist, it's, you know, around here, like I always ask, you know, you or Tony and Katie and Stephen or whoever was here, Pete in the past, and Michelle, and I wondered, like, if you were going to be a meteorologist anywhere in the country, this might possibly be the most challenging place to be a meteorologist compared to other parts of the country. So although it's challenging, you're never bored. But you always, not always, but usually take the brunt of the abuse from the viewers when you're out in public, if it's a paper bag over your head type of day, or you're like, hey, I'm here, it's a great day. So, I mean, the challenge has to be what probably motivates you all and keeps you all invigorated to do your job, which is not easy to do. But it's a challenge you probably embrace.
We love the challenge. It's something new every single day. It's like putting a puzzle together every single morning, and that's what makes it fun. And yeah, you know, sometimes obviously we have to go out in public and the supermarket. Like when I'm buying like milk in the middle of winter, people you know, you march in the parades with me sometimes, and you know, everyone's always asking about the weather. You know, did you do this?
The best one's when they blame me for the weather, and I can say, "Hey, I'm not the weatherman." It's next to me. I just sit next to him.
I just blame Tony.
Yeah, that's right. So no, I know, but it's a fascinating job. I mean, you could be a meteorologist in San Diego, and they must be so bored.
That's true.
The same thing every
I mean, they don't really have much going on out there.
You definitely have job security as a meteorologist in New England.
It's a severe weather alert when they get, you know, a passing shower coming out through.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, we're looking forward to the drier, warmer weather as we get a little bit closer to the summertime.
Yeah, definitely. So that was
the boat in the water yet?
The boat goes in the water. It's what is it? The last day of April. Another 5 days. I gotta paint it this weekend. I gotta paint the bottom this weekend.
Did you scrape all the barnacles off and all that?
All done. So it's just a little coat of paint, and then the rods and reels are all tuned up and ready to go. And actually, it's funny. I don't know. We're signing off, right? Is this?
We're getting close.
Oh, getting close. Okay, so if I can promote. We have this fascinating 12+ app, and we're doing a fishing saltwater type podcast that's going to start probably in a couple of weeks. I'll be doing that with our digital director, Lee Dooley here, who works with me at the station, a constant fishing companion of mine, outdoorsy type, much more than me. But we'll be doing this type of setup, talking with local, tackle shop owners and charter captains and, DEM folks and people that make the living in and around the beach, with seafood, etc. So, so I have to work and maybe go out on the boat and do some fishing.
That sounds awful.
Maybe go out with you at some point and dig some clams. I know
that'll be fun.
You'd have to blindfold me because you won't tell me where exactly you find these clams, but you can blindfold me, take me to the secret location. We can dig some clams,
you're here.
Shut my eyes, and then we'll leave. So looking forward to that.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, so we'll do that in a couple of weeks. This was great having me on here. I've always told you if I did better on my SATs, I would have been a meteorologist.
You would have been a fine meteorologist.
I'm fascinated with weather, as most people are, and to see these statistics and understand why what is happening is happening. I still find it cool after being on the news for over 30 years and hearing weather forecasts daily. I still find it fascinating.
And we even gave you an opportunity once to do the weather. It was on April Fool's Day, right?
It was. I had my 30 seconds of glory, my one shot, and it was fine. Yeah, it was great. You did the forecast. I just hit the button and talked about clouds moving out in the 7-day. So you did all the work. I just talked about it. So it was fun. But yeah, I love it. I'm fascinated by it too. No more wind, no more rain, please.
We're trying to get rid of those April showers. We're in May, so yeah, we're done with the April showers. But May flowers bring what? The April showers bring May flowers. May flowers bring what?
Pollen.
That's true. Pollen and pilgrims.
Oh, okay.
May flowers bring pilgrims.
And yard work,
and
which you know how much I love.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to sign off. Thank you very much for watching this edition of Beyond the Forecast. And over the coming weeks, almost a hurricane season, we'll be talking about that as well.